You've studied English for months, maybe years. But when your boss says, "Can you explain this in English?" your mind goes blank. Why does that happen? Here's the truth most teachers don't tell you. Studying grammar isn't enough. Real confidence comes from using English in daily life, at work, in meetings, during coffee breaks. And that's exactly what we're going to practice today. Welcome to English Cactus. My name is Anna, and today's episode will change the way you learn. This isn't a boring grammar class. This is real English from real conversations, so you can sound more natural, confident, and fluent at work. Before we begin, make sure to grab your free PDF in the video description. You'll follow the lesson more easily and remember everything. And here's my secret weapon for fast progress, the shadowing technique. First, just listen to the story. Then go back, pause after each sentence, and repeat with me. Match my voice. Match my rhythm. Do this daily, and you'll speak with confidence sooner than you think. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments where you're from. Now, grab your coffee, relax, and let's begin our journey through real English in daily work life with Alice, Jim, and you. At work, the way you start a conversation can say a lot about you, even before you say anything important. Imagine walking into the office and saying, "Hey," to your boss. It's not wrong, but it might feel too relaxed, right? That's why good morning is such a small but powerful phrase. It shows respect, but it's still friendly. When you study English, learning the tone is just as important as learning the words. "Hi, how was your weekend?" can break the ice. But when the meeting starts, you shift. Let's begin with today's goals. This change from casual to professional is part of real English. We don't just speak, we adjust how we speak. And that's what makes you sound natural. I've seen many students learn grammar but still freeze in real conversations. Why? Because they never practice the switch. In English, especially at work, we move between friendly talk and professional focus. You greet your coworkers with a smile, maybe talk about the weather. "It's so cold today." But then you sit down and say, "I'd like to discuss the sales report." See the shift? It's like flipping a switch in your brain. So when you study English, try both modes. Practice greeting someone, then practice giving an update. You'll feel more confident. And soon, these small things will make a big difference in how people see you at work. Let's say you're meeting a new client for the first time. You don't want to sound like a robot, but you also don't want to sound like you're chatting with your best friend. So what do you say? Start simple. "Hi, I'm Anna. It's great to meet you." Then you can add, "Shall we begin?" or "Let's talk about your project." These are clear, kind, and professional. If you only study English from a book, you miss this human part. But here, we're going to learn it together. When you learn these little transitions, your English stops sounding foreign and starts sounding real, just like how a real team member would speak. Now, if you're thinking, "Okay, but how do I practice this?" I'll tell you. Every morning, before work, look in the mirror and say, "Good morning, how are you today?" Then practice, "Let's begin the meeting." Do it every day. It's like brushing your teeth. Simple, quick, but powerful. You'll be surprised at how natural it becomes. The more you study English like this, the more confident you'll feel at work. And speaking of work, let's go deeper into something that happens every week in many offices: team brainstorming. That's where ideas and good English really start to shine. There's something magical about sitting in a room with a whiteboard and a team full of ideas. It's not always about who speaks the most. It's about how you share and listen. Brainstorming is like building a puzzle together. At Clean Life, Alice and Jim had a mission: find a way to make their packaging more eco-friendly. They both care about the environment, but they also had different opinions. And that's where things got interesting. When you study English, moments like this help you learn not only words, but how to work with people. In real life, You don't just throw ideas. You build bridges between ideas. And sometimes, disagreement is the start of something better. Let me take you into the room with Alice and Jim. Jim, what if we switch to reusable containers? Alice, I like the direction, but wouldn't that raise costs? Jim, maybe, but smaller boxes could help balance that. Alice, smaller boxes and recyclable paper. That's something. See that? No one shut down the conversation. They kept it flowing. This is what real English sounds like in a workplace. It's not just about grammar, it's about attitude. You learn to say, "That's a good idea," before you suggest something better. That's how professionals do it. Now imagine you're in a meeting and your coworker suggests something you don't agree with. What do you say? You don't want to sound rude. Instead, say, "That's interesting, but have we thought about," or "I like that, though I wonder if." These phrases keep the energy positive. When you learn English this way, by using soft expressions, you build strong professional relationships. And guess what? People will listen to you more, because you're not just smart, you're respectful. Study English with this kind of emotional intelligence, and your voice will always stand out. By the end of their meeting, Alice and Jim had a few great ideas and 0 arguments. That's what collaboration is about. And when they left the room, they both smiled. Because even with some disagreement, they knew they were on the same team. That's a lesson not just in English, but in leadership. But how do these great ideas turn into real action? That's where we move from thinking to doing. Let's see how we can assign tasks clearly and professionally without sounding bossy. It's one thing to have great ideas. It's another to turn those ideas into action. In most workplaces, that means assigning tasks, clearly, respectfully, and without confusion. And yes, in English, there's a right way to do that. You don't want to say, "You do this." That sounds a bit too strong. Instead, phrases like, "Could you look into this?" or "Would you mind checking the budget?" work better. When you study English for work, learning these softer phrases is key. They show leadership without sounding bossy. And guess what? People respond better when they feel included, not ordered around. Let's step into another conversation between Alice and Jim. Alice, Jim, can you look into the shipping costs for the new packaging? Jim, sure, I'll get the numbers by Thursday. Alice, great. I'll check the budget and see what we can afford. Jim, sounds good. Should we also ask Leo to test the smaller box design? Alice, yes, let's do that. I'll send him a quick note. See how smooth that is? They're assigning tasks, but it feels like teamwork. That's what makes your English sound professional: collaboration, clarity, and kindness in every sentence. And sometimes, you'll need to follow up. Maybe someone forgot or you need a quick update. In that case, don't say, "Why didn't you finish this?" Instead, try, "Hey, just checking in. Any updates on that task?" Or, "Let me know if you need help with it." These are simple lines, but they make a huge difference. They turn pressure into support. When you learn English with this mindset, you become the kind of person people love to work with. And that matters more than having a perfect accent or fancy words. The truth is, your tone builds trust. And trust leads to better results. That's why studying real-life English, not just textbooks, is so important. The next time you need to assign a task, remember Alice and Jim. Keep it clear, keep it kind. And now that they've divided the tasks, they're ready to face the next challenge together. What happens when they don't completely agree on the next step? Let's explore how to disagree without causing conflict. Disagreement doesn't have to be a fight. In fact, some of the best solutions come from two people not seeing things the same way. At first, the key is how you disagree. In English, we often soften our words to keep conversations friendly. We say, "That's a good idea, but," or "I see your point, though I wonder if." These little expressions keep the door open. When you study English for real life, especially in business, learning how to disagree without tension is a skill that sets you apart. You don't lose your voice, you just make it easier to listen to. Let's check in with Alice and Jim again. Jim: I think we should switch all our packaging to recycled paper immediately. Alice: That's a good idea, but I'm a little worried about the cost. Jim: True, but it could boost our brand image. Alice: I agree with that. Maybe we could test it first on one product line? Jim: Yeah, that's a smart middle ground. Did you catch the tone? No harsh no or that won't work, just a gentle back and forth. They both listened, and they both adjusted. That's how professionals disagree, together. When you learn English this way, you also learn diplomacy. Think of it like dancing. You step forward, the other person steps back, and together you find rhythm. Try practicing this at home. Say, that's interesting, but have you thought about? Or, what if we also considered? You're not saying no, you're offering more, and that builds trust. It also makes people want to hear your ideas, even if they don't agree at first. So, next time you're in a meeting and feel unsure about someone's idea, don't stay silent. Use your voice, but use it with care. English has so many ways to say something gently. When you master this, you become the bridge, not the barrier. And speaking of bridges, Alice and Jim are now about to face a big decision: how to balance the company's budget with their eco-friendly goals. Sounds tricky, right? Let's see how they make it work. Every business hits this moment. A great idea comes up, but the budget says, not so fast. That's when things get real. You have to balance passion with reality, values with numbers. In English, this means using phrases like, let's find a compromise, or how can we make this work within our budget? These questions are powerful. They show maturity, not just in business, but in how you think. When you study English, you're not just learning what to say. You're learning how to think like a leader who listens, adapts, and solves. Back in the Clean Life office, Alice and Jim were in the middle of this exact challenge. Jim: If we use recycled materials for everything, it might double our packaging cost. Alice: True, and we can't ignore the numbers. But what if we use recycled paper for half of the products first? Jim: That way we reduce waste without hurting the budget. Alice: Exactly. We can present it as phase 1 of our green plan. Jim: Nice. That gives us data to show the impact too. They didn't just give up on their values. They adapted them. That's what good business and good English looks like. One smart phrase you can use in situations like this is, let's meet in the middle. It shows you're not trying to win. You're trying to work together. You can also say, we need a solution that fits both sides. These expressions help move things forward when money, time, or opinions create tension. And they sound very natural in business English. The next time you're part of a team decision, try using these phrases. You'll be surprised at how they open doors and minds. In the end, Alice and Jim walked out of the meeting with a plan that made sense financially and ethically. That balance didn't come from one big idea. It came from listening, adjusting, and speaking with respect. But just when things seemed to calm down, another challenge appeared. A competitor had launched a similar product. What now? Let's dive into how they handle marketing strategy and competition with smart English moves. In business, you can't just do good work. You also have to show it. That's where marketing comes in. Especially when a competitor launches something new, your team needs to react fast. In English, this means using phrases like, let's promote this feature, or we need to draft a post for social media. These words may sound simple, but they're powerful. When you study English, learning how to talk about strategy helps you be part of bigger conversations. And the truth is, In many offices, how you communicate is just as important as what you do. Let's listen in on Alice and Jim again. Alice: did you see Greenpack's new product? They're using compostable wrappers. Jim: yeah, I saw it on Instagram this morning. We need to respond. Alice: what if we promote our new Phase 1 plan on social media? Jim: good idea. I can draft a post and create a short video showing how our boxes are made. Alice: and maybe offer free samples to new customers? Jim: perfect. That shows action, not just talk. This is business in motion, clear, creative, and quick. And the English they used? Real, useful, and easy to learn. Now, maybe you don't work in marketing, but these phrases still help. Saying things like, let's highlight this in our presentation, or we should respond to their post, are good for any kind of business communication. When you learn English with these real situations, it sticks. Because you're not just memorizing words, you're using them to solve problems. That's how professionals grow. That's how leaders think. Alice and Jim weren't scared of competition. They saw it as a chance to improve. And instead of panicking, they planned. That's what strong teams do. So next time someone says, another company just released something big, take a breath and say, okay, how do we step up? But what happens when work gets intense and you need a break? Everyone needs rest, right? Let's see how to ask for time off at work, politely and professionally. Asking for time off at work can feel a little awkward, especially if you're new or if the team is busy. But everyone needs rest, and in English, there are polite ways to ask that keep things professional. Instead of saying, I want vacation, it's better to say, would it be possible to take a few days off? Or, I'd like to request some time off next month. These phrases show respect and help the conversation go smoothly. When you study English for work, this is a golden skill, because rest isn't a luxury, it's part of staying productive. Let's check how Alice brought it up with Jim. Alice: hey Jim, I've been thinking of visiting my parents next month. Would it be okay to take a few days off? Jim: sure. When are you thinking? Alice: from the 10th to the 14th. I can finish the reports before I go. Jim: perfect. I'll adjust the schedule and cover anything urgent. Alice: thanks. I'll send a request to HR today. Simple, right? The tone was relaxed, but clear. That's how real English sounds when you mix care for your team with your personal needs. It's also great to show responsibility. Notice how Alice said she'd finish her work first? That helps your manager feel confident. You can say things like, I'll make sure everything's ready before I leave, or let me know if there's anything I should wrap up first. These extra touches show you care about the team. Learning English like this, through real examples, helps you not only speak well, but work well. So next time you need time off, don't stress. Just be clear, be kind, and plan ahead. You'll be surprised at how easy it feels once you know the right words. Now let's switch scenes a bit. Not everything at work is about meetings and requests. Sometimes it's the little conversations at lunch that help you connect the most. Let's take a break with Alice and Jim and see how casual office chats can actually help you learn even more. Not every moment at work is serious. In fact, some of the best connections are made over coffee breaks and lunch chats. These casual moments may seem small, but they help build trust, and they're full of useful English too. When you study English, it's important to learn how people really speak in everyday moments. Think about it. No one says, let us now consume our midday meal. They say, hey, what are you having for lunch? Or, I'm so tired, I need another coffee. Learning these light phrases helps your English feel alive and real. Let's step into a fun lunch break with Alice and Jim. Jim: that salad looks amazing. Are you on a diet again? Alice: no, I just feel better eating clean. But I still want chocolate after this. Jim: same here. I say I'll be healthy, Then I eat 3 cookies. Alice. Balance, Jim. It's all about balance. Jim. Speaking of balance, any weekend plans? Alice. Hiking on Saturday, and then pizza. Again, balance. This is real-life English. It's relaxed, honest, and full of smiles. You don't need to be perfect in these conversations. What matters is connection. Say things like, I love this place, or I needed this break. And if you're not sure what to say, just ask questions. How was your weekend? Or, what are you eating? It sounds simple, and it is. But this is where English becomes yours. It's no longer just a language you're learning. It's a tool you're living with. And honestly, that's where the magic starts to happen. These little chats also help reduce stress. When you feel nervous about a big meeting, talking to someone about their favorite food can calm you down. It's a human moment. So don't skip lunch. Don't skip laughter. And don't skip these beautiful chances to practice and connect. Now that you've heard all these different work moments, you might be wondering, how do I make all this stick? Let's talk about the power of review and practice and how it turns study into success. Learning English isn't about memorizing 1,000 words in one night. It's about showing up every day and practicing what you already know, again and again. That's why review is so powerful. When you hear a phrase once, you might forget it tomorrow. But when you hear it 5 times in 5 different situations, your brain says, "Ah, I know this." And that's where fluency begins. When you study English with stories, real dialogues, and repetition, it becomes part of your life, not just something in your notebook. Alice and Jim know this too. Jim. Remember last week when I forgot how to say budget cut in that meeting? Alice. Yes, but you nailed it yesterday. You said it perfectly. Jim. I kept repeating it out loud on my drive home. Budget cut, budget cut. Alice. See, that's the trick. Listen, repeat, use it. Jim. I even used draft a post today without thinking about it. Alice. That's fluency, Jim. You're speaking without fear. That's how real progress looks. Not perfect, but consistent. Try this yourself. Pick 3 or 4 phrases from today's lesson. Say them out loud in the morning, then again before bed. Use them in your thoughts. Use them when you message someone. The goal is not to be perfect. The goal is to live in English a little more each day. Imagine how powerful you'll feel when you respond in English without pausing, when you understand not just the words, but the meaning behind them. That's what happens when you review smart and practice daily. And here's something fun. Shadowing. You listen to me say a sentence. Then you pause the video and repeat after me, trying to match my rhythm and tone. It's like singing along to a song, but instead of music, it's real-life English. This helps with pronunciation, flow, and confidence. It also makes you feel like you're having a real conversation, even if no one's in the room with you. Sounds like magic, but it's just smart practice. So now you've followed Alice and Jim through emails, ideas, lunch breaks, and vacations. What's next? Well, let's rewind to the beginning, and I'll show you how to bring it all together with one simple morning routine that changes everything. So now, let me ask you something real. What are you going to do with all this English you just learned? Will you let it stay in your notebook, or will you use it tomorrow at work, during a meeting, in a casual chat, or when asking for time? Off! You've already seen how Alice and Jim do it. Now it's your turn. You don't need perfect grammar. You need practice, courage, and a small step, every day. What phrase are you going to try first? Will you say, "Good morning," a little louder? Will you finally ask your manager, "Can I take a few days off?" Or maybe you'll look at your colleague during lunch and ask, "Hey, what are you eating?" Leave your answer in the comments. I want to hear from you. Because when you speak, even in the smallest ways, you grow. And if you enjoyed this podcast, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications so you never miss a lesson. We're building something here, together. One word, one phrase, one real-life situation at a time.